really serious. I think that's a good idea.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about?
It's about nothing.
No story?
No, forget the story.
You gotta have a story.
Who says you gotta have a story?
Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. Some men just want to watch the world go.
Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon. Spoons of mouth.
I'll tell you what it's worth. Not a damn thing. It's a waste of time.
Because now that we've covered how to make good universes, we gotta talk about how to break them.
Yeah, how to either break a well-made universe, which is a big sin, or just not quite make the universe you thought you were. So we'll go into it. Yeah. So let's start with the probably most egregious and famous world-breaking
At least in
franchise in recent memory, and that is the prequel Star Wars movies.
I thought we established that those don't exist.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't think we did that cast yet. We alluded to it, but we have to do that cast still. That we prove the prequel Star Wars never happened.
They're not real.
But
For this discussion, they are.
For this discussion, we're gonna pretend like they're real. Steven, I don't know. Are you a big Star Wars guy?
I don't have like the most negative.
I think I'd drag you to
version
go see
of
episode 3.
Of the prequels.
Right.
Episode 3, we were going to the movie, and I was at a baseball game, and I came in my baseball gear.
I'm to the point where I enjoy the prequels because I mean it's still good fun, I guess, but it's just like I would never go out of my way to watch them. Whereas like the old ones, I could probably rewatch over and over and over again. But Mike, I'll let you preface sort of the biggest gripe. I mean, there's many, but
Okay. One word that is enough to get any nerd at Comic-Con boiling with hatred for Lucas and the debauchery he has wreaked upon his own world. That is midichlorians.
yes, midichlorians. Which I'm not exactly entirely sure why he felt the need to invent these, but basically what he did by introducing midichlorians, which, for in case anybody doesn't know, was apparently midichlorians were were they parasites technically? What would you call them? They're like organisms.
It was literally
or a type of cell or something.
It was a type of cell protein.
Right, yeah. So
Literally
basically,
does not explain.
like a
how.
mitochondria, you have a midichlorian
Yeah.
kind of a thing. And like depending on your midichlorian count, which is just, I guess, randomized or based on your genetics, I suppose. Like whatever your midichlorian count is like how sensitive you are to the Force. And so Anakin had the highest midichlorian count I've ever seen. And then
That's higher than Yoda's.
that explains why he is so powerful, like within the Force. And the biggest problem with doing this is that the Force was always a strictly spiritual thing.
There's a one spiritual thing in a sci-fi space opera.
Right.
You didn't need to inject pseudoscience into that.
Right.
In fact, it does shatter it because now it's like a power level. It is that stupid. And it's got, they didn't need to. I mean, and the problem, and Lucas stood by it too. He totally defended it. And if you notice, no one's ever touched that ever again.
Right. They're like, yeah, well, it is what it is, and
Yeah.
we're gonna pretend like they don't mention it in the prequels, so
Yeah.
we don't have to think they're there.
Well, and that's so.
Or not the prequels, sorry, the originals.
They don't mention it in the sequel in the expanded universe. They don't mention it in video games. They don't mention it anywhere except for episode 1.
Episode 1, everyone's favorite. Yeah, it wasn't really necessary. They could have just had it where Anakin is in tune with the Force because he was the one prophesied about, and they never had to explain. He could have just been the most powerful.
Qui-Gon could have just had a oh my gosh moment and go, can you sense that? Obi-Wan could have been like, yeah, kind of.
And they should have had like a thing where he was inadvertently using the Force. Like maybe Anakin's always been persuasive, and he's like, that's why he got all these parts for his pod racer. Was like, because I mean,
it's just force of will. He's a kid. He's like, you want to give me candy?
And for some reason people do, yeah. And they could have saluted that, and that's what made him realize, oh wow, he's really adept or in tune with the Force, whatever it may be. Just totally undermined like 3 movies worth of building up of like training with Yoda and like.
Well, and you're telling me that sitting there like in the council, they could have had Anakin like walk in. Qui-Gon was like, "Can't you sense the Force swirling around him?" And half the council members are like, "Yeah, kind of. I mean, no more than any other Padawan." And you just see Yoda like lean forward and look at him and go, "Yeah, I do, and I don't like it."
Right.
Like, just see it, I do. Like it, I do not. Like, and just kind of pull Qui-Gon aside and go, okay, you're not tripping.
Right.
I understand. I still think it's a bad idea.
Instead, they just brought him in for like a physical, basically.
We're gonna poke you.
Yeah, they just like had him turn his head and cough, and they're like, strong with the Force he is.
Turn his head and cough.
So, I mean, there's tons of other stupid things, like just needless fan service, like
Jar Jar
Anakin.
Binks.
Well, we won't touch Jar Jar, but Anakin building C-3PO and just how stupid that is. And then they had to retcon it, right, and be like, oh, he had his memory swiped after everything went down, before he was Luke's C-3PO.
Yeah. Well, let's pretend for it. It's just.
Yeah.
And then R2D2 having. Again, I can't bring this up, but Deus Ex Machina, because we'll get to that in about 5 minutes or so. But R2D2 should not be able to fight a battle droid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
No.
He defeated many battle droids. Wasn't it like several? It was like 10 different battle droids that he lit on fire.
He was literally OP.
Yeah.
Like, the dude is an astromech droid. He's a glorified mechanic.
Right. He was already kind of a plot device where he could just automatically hack into anything, but
now
he can fight too
and fly, which would have come in handy a lot of times earlier.
Right, and so basically, the cardinal sin is like you can have as zany and ridiculous of a universe as you want, but once you set sort of the rules and the physics of that world, you have to stick to it, and you can't just break it because you didn't know how to resolve the conflict or like you didn't know where to go with it.
That's Lucas trying for, and I'm assuming for financial reasons, trying to make it hip sci-fi-ish, because this is right after genetics has finally hit the media, and it's like, okay, except that and the reason why Star Trek and Star Wars are so different is because the pseudoscience is different frequencies. You don't need to go into the detail in Star Wars because there's that suspension of disbelief.
Right.
You're fine.
It's already a fantastical sort of plot and environment. So yeah, you don't need to try to like write things off and like make it, like you said, pseudoscience. So we'll move on. We could probably go on all day about how bad those prequels are.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to what should have been a great show, but has kind of fallen on its face.
For other reasons besides this, but this.
But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about The Legend of Korra, the sequel series to Avatar. You watched Legend of Korra, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but real quick, we actually didn't get your opinion. What do you think as a whole of Legend of Korra?
It's definitely not as good as the original.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the new animations.
Right.
And I like I think they go a little bit more creative with fighting styles. I don't really care for the tournament stuff. That's like, it's not like a for or against. I think it's kind of interesting.
It's just kind of
but it's not like, okay, because it's just it's boring fighting style to me.
Right.
But I like it when they get into the bigger battles. And I thought the first season I was really interested, as long as you got rid of the romantic stuff. That was horrible.
Right.
That was worse than Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Right.
But on
that was
whole,
worse than Saved by the Bell.
on the whole, it's okay.
Right.
It's or maybe a little bit better than okay. But there are certain things like I think we're going to get into. I mean, we are getting into them that don't that just kind of take me out of the experience, or like, why do we do that?
Right.
They're definitely second season when I saw General Iroh again. That was
right.
Spoiler, I guess, but that was great. I love that, and
right.
I thought the second season was really picking up, and then we got to the final battle scene, which was cool for a little while,
And then
got
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't get why they've decided that they don't want a continuing plotline. I get it for the first one, because they said they didn't know if Korra was going to be renewed, so they're like, if this is it, then we want a whole story. And then, once they renewed it for 2 or 3 seasons. Like, they knew for season 2 that they were going to have more seasons. And then they decided, once again, to totally resolve everything, and just totally felt rushed, and relied on Deus Ex Machina to get there. So, for those of you that remember...
One of the worst ones I have ever seen.
Although, by the way, little nugget, the Legend of Wan that was snuck in there, the 2 episodes...
was gold.
That was their Last Airbender quality. Like, that was easily, 2 of my favorite episodes of just Avatar.
Korra. I want to see Wan's adventures.
Yeah, right.
I don't care about Korra.
Let's scrap this and go to a prequel series called The Legend of Wan and just bask in that greatness of that.
He was number 1.
And G.K. Simmons as I can't remember what his name is now. I haven't watched it in a couple months, but he's the Airbender right now. He's the his voice acting is Tenzin. Yeah, his voice acting.
Who's
is
G.K.
wonderful.
Simmons?
G.K. Simmons. He's been on The Closer and other kind of like crime shows.
Oh, okay.
But he's done a really good job.
I mean, his voice acting is great. Tenzin as a character is horrible. I despise Tenzin because he brings nothing to the table except bad advice and just really like he's always self-defensive. And he just doesn't. He can't fight really. He can't do much of anything.
So I guess we should probably move to the actual universe things we're supposed to.
The thing that ruined it. So yeah, the two biggest things that ruined it. The Dark Avatar thing, that's I guess fine. I can roll with that, I guess.
Whatevs.
But then the way they chose to go about it. Here's my one qualm with Korra as a character. Is if you look at that character, she's really bullheaded and she's a strong fighter. Supposedly she's a strong fighter, although they never show her shoot lightning.
Not only that, she gets her butt kicked.
They never show her blood bend. Like, they never show her do any of the next level stuff. She never metal bends.
But apparently everybody else and their brother can do these
Oh,
things.
here you go. Actually, let's start with that, Qualm. Mike, you really were upset by that.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, okay, so
This is one of the first episodes of the whole show.
So, we'll go back to the factory lightning benders. What in the hell? I mean, you can't...
So, to preface that...
Sorry, so from prior season, lightning bending is something like 3 people in the universe can do, and it's very difficult. Only firebenders can do it. It involves separating particles with your firebending.
And I don't think... And Iroh only reflected it. He didn't like that.
No,
shoot it.
Lightning... Iroh can make it, and Iroh was like, I can. He's like, I don't like to use it because you pretty much can only kill people with it. You can't burn or torch.
You do anything useful with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not right, but
yeah. So you have, and ironically, all 3 members of the pinnacle firebending royal family can do this.
Right.
There's a whole factory floor of grunt workers who I'm assuming by their clothing and dirt are being paid minimum wage to lightning bend into a pylon to power this city. There are dozens of socioeconomic problems with that setup that I'm not going to go into.
Right.
But the problem is suddenly everybody can do it.
Right. Yeah, and
you've ripped away a lot of your mystery
Yeah.
when you do certain things like that.
Not only that, you're telling me chi blockers are going to be able to stop that?
Yeah.
Zap, zap, done, we win.
Right.
Game over.
Right. Yeah, I didn't like it because I think more people will be able to lightning bend, obviously, because now once the technique, you're going to be able to emulate it. But it would still be a physically elite level because you really have to be in tune with your firebending.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't even necessarily like where you put your hands. And Zuko was an exceptional firebender.
Right.
He didn't have this spiritual strength
to
focus and split particles. I mean, that metal bending I get. But even
I kind of like it. I think it shows an evolution of your universe, and where you have like this one person who discovers it, where metal is kind of a new thing brought by the Fire Nation in their kind of military aspect. But then what they do is then she's able to train people, and there's like this elite police force, and I thought.
The metal bending didn't bother me quite as much. The only problem with the metal bending core is that they never earth bended.
Yeah.
It's like a lot more accessible.
And they never like metal bend sharp. I mean, obviously it's a kid's show, but if I'm a metal bender, I'm gonna fragment a piece of like a scale of a building that's metal or something, or just a car. I want to make sharp shards and shoot them at you like a shotgun. But all they use is these flimsy little cords that
apparently snap.
Yeah, that snap like wax paper.
Yeah.
That one I was upset with. It's an elite corps of police that have training. I get that, but grunt level workers on the floor, like you were saying, Mike. I mean, they'd have a lot of power in that situation. You'd think if they're powering the whole city. By the way, no, I'm not going to power your city until you pay me more. You know what I mean?
Oh, you need to run your lights and your gas. No.
You're paying me one. What do they take?
You're paying me one
cabbage. You're paying me one cabbage a day.
My cabbage.
That was a good holdover.
So my cabbage gone.
Like SpongeBob, my leg.
Yeah. So that was just a little bit more minor of a gripe. Whatever, I can deal with that. Even though
plus the existence. I mean, I get
it's not shown that often.
Yeah.
No. But the problem is of course, what's his face can lightning bend, and
the worst character ever.
Yeah.
Besides Tenzin.
What is that guy's name?
I keep wanting to call him Zuko.
Yeah. Well, he's
What's-
voiced. Well, no, he's not voiced.
No,
his
no.
name-
General Iroh.
Isn't he Iroh? Like, he's
The
named after-
general is.
The general is
that
not-
is voiced by Zuko, but
Oh,
not
you're
the main
talking-
dude.
oh,
the
you're
main
talking
Mako.
about
Mako, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our defense, Zuko and Mako. I can.
They also-
That's fair. They both shoot fire.
More story-wise, the two characters now, second season, they just did nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of sad.
Yeah.
Well, but and you're telling, and I guess okay. So final gripe as far as the combat goes, you cannot convince me that even a person with kung fu skills and chi blocking
Automatically wins every
can
time.
fight somebody who can literally pick up the ground from underneath them.
Yeah.
We're terrestrial creatures. I'm sorry. If you don't have anything to jump off of, you fall.
Oh yeah, that was my thing with like, I'm like, if I'm Zuko, I'm just gonna make a big pillar of fire around the person and like close it in and burn them to a crisp.
Yeah,
like,
what are you gonna do?
Like all you have to do is keep them away from you. I mean, but apparently that's impossible.
Yeah.
Just make a wall of fire around yourself if you have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and I guess my only I see where you're coming from, Stephen. But I guess my only counter to that is there are some things that no matter the training and the evolution of the art, people can't do. There are only a few people on Earth who are 170 pounds and can power clean 250,
Right.
even if their technique is perfect. Let alone people who can power clean 350.
Yeah.
Like there's a guy named Rich Froning. He can do it. I don't know anyone else ever that I've met, and I've met world class lifters who can lift that much at that size. It's just it's that 1% thing. I mean,
What are,
for like lightning.
for like
for
lightning, for lightning.
yeah.
Yeah, for lightning.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I just don't see it that much. Like I don't even remember that scene. I don't know when that happened.
Well, I feel like Mako shoots it a couple times at Amon and stuff. It's usually just like don't create a diversion. It seems like. Well, it's because
I
the
think that's more-
firebenders aren't really prevalent in the show.
Because the firebenders are a lot more destructive.
Yeah.
Earthbending, you can do this cute little, I'm going to trip you. Or in waterbending, it's like, oh, I froze your legs. Ha, ha, ha. Fire, it's like you have now 3rd degree burns. Good night.
Right. Well, and I mean, I like that the waterbenders are the bad guys now. But, okay, so going back to Korra, my whole problem with that character is that her whole thing is like, she never learns. So, basically, she goes and faces him on, he defeats her, and then she
Aang
just goes
saves
and
the day.
faces him at the end the exact same way. Like, she doesn't talk to Aang. Aang talks to her once to let her know, give her the backstory. That was basically just exposition. She never consults Aang or any of the past avatars again before she goes and fights Amon again. Which doesn't make, like, you'd think, logically, you lost to Amon, you have learned nothing new. Why don't you go try something new before you go face him again? She doesn't. She goes and faces Amon again and loses, gets her bending taken, which somehow unlocks her air bending, which somehow helped her beat him, even though she
Deus
couldn't.
Ex Machina 1.
Yeah, which made no sense. And then at the end, she just cries and mopes in a corner, and then Aang goes, "You called me here." I was like, "No,
Number
I didn't
2.
hear her. I didn't hear her try to reach you. She was just moping in the corner."
Aang Ex Machina number 2.
Right. Aang just saves the day. He gives her all her bending back, and gives her avatar state, and gives her energy bending.
And yeah, so now, I mean, literally God mode. Enter every cheat code you can think of.
And she
Grand Theft
didn't
Auto.
grow at all spiritually. And if you think about it, she wasn't like, it wasn't like, oh, I've embraced this, I'm an airbender. It was like, I feel bad for myself because now all I have is airbending. It's like, well, if you weren't so bullheaded and tried anything new, I would respect it and feel bad for you. But you literally just did the same thing twice in a row.
And you think she would have learned, hey, Tenzin's probably right, you're probably wrong, shut up and listen.
Right.
No.
Well, Tenzin's not always right.
It was always right second season.
Yeah, second season. Yeah. But like, then second season rolls around and now she's still the same jerk she was because she didn't have to like earn anything.
Plus boyfriend issues.
Yeah, plus boyfriend
Yeah,
issues.
that was weird.
And so I don't know. Okay, we'll get into the biggest gripe of them all: the big spirit lady in the sky. So at the end, the dark avatar is facing her and rips out Rava, the light spirit that makes the avatar who they are. So the avatar is the combining of the human spirit with the
So as far as
Rava
I'm
is
concerned,
the
spirit
spirit,
of
yeah.
light.
but then and what makes an
And a
avatar
human
is
host.
the yeah.
well, I'm assuming she can't bend at all. Well, she's
she
not.
can't no she,
Yeah, so she's literally she's
or
been
she can
reduced.
like only do water bending or something like that.
Yeah, I think she could still waterbend, or I don't know. They didn't actually have time
Yeah,
to explain
yeah.
that. So she gets the avatar ripped out of her, and then basically the dark avatar beams into reality after that and starts tearing things up.
Insert kaiju.
Yeah, insert kaiju battle. But not yet, because first it just looks like, oh, the day is lost. And then Tenzin's like, oh, by the way, there's this mystical tree that they trapped. What was the guy's name? The evil spirits? Name
Batu.
there? Vatu, yeah. He's trapped in the most spiritual tree, the first tree of all time. I don't remember what the story was. But
Yeah, it was like the
It
tree
was-
of time, and so he was kind of
Tree Ex
Batu was
Machina.
stuck in there. it was interesting. Like, it made sense that it was like the pathway between the spirit world and that.
Right.
So that was okay. But then you had.
I just didn't like
he's
that.
stuck in there, and then all of a sudden she just goes in there, and it's like
They were
now
like,
it becomes gigantic.
I just thought it was funny
Blam.
because they were like that. Maybe that could channel the energy and make our spirit stronger, or whatever. And then they were like, Korra, you're the one that has to do it. I'm like, wait. Why is she the one that has to do it? She's not spiritual at all. We know this. I mean, I guess Iroh talked a little bit of sense into her, but it was like one episode ago. So
Not
you
even
mean to tell
he
me.
can, not even he can say this, Kevin. Not even he.
Well, yeah, I'm just like he helped her like teach her some things one episode ago. You mean to tell me she's mastered spirit, all the spiritual aspects of the Avatar in one episode? And then they were like, you have to do it. I was like, Tenzin, why don't you do it? You're the one that just figured everything out yourself this same episode, but you've also been trying to channel the discipline of the spirituality. They're like, no, it's you. So she goes in and turns into a giant spirit beast. I don't know why, how that exactly works. And then she beams in and starts fighting Vaatu in the kaiju battle.
Well, and also doesn't Tenzin's daughter just floats down like a little
Yeah, okay.
And I
worst
was,
of it all.
Well, she was also supposed to be Korra's like spirit guide, and then disappears.
Yeah, right.
And then
She
she's
runs
left
off.
and then she's on her own.
Right. And I was like, what?
Nobody
She just
did any of the
beams-
jobs they were supposed to do.
Yeah, right. Nobody did anything right in the show, but they saved the day through Deus Ex Machina. So then, for some reason, at the end, I think the Korra kaiju is about to lose to the Vaatu kaiju, and then all of a sudden, the sister, one of the airbending sisters, beams down with Rava. They don't explain.
She just says, "I found like Rava's still in there because he like kills
he
her.
rips her out of. Right?
He rips her out and destroys Rava. Destroys with.
Even though
quotation marks.
it's been explicitly stated that you can't kill one or the other. As long as one exists, the other does.
Yeah, well, it's like somehow Rava's inside him somewhere,
Right?
And so then she can.
That's right. He just picks her up and eats her.
And then they just randomly the day is saved, and then the worst.
But no Powerpuff Girls.
The worst grievance of all. Then she gets the spirit back, so then she has Rava back or something like that. But then the worst grievance is that she goes, she loses all connection to the avatars, by the way. She's lost all thousands of lifetimes worth of experience that she could have tapped into, but chose
the literal
to never.
source of her powers in the Avatar state.
Right. She no longer has them, and she's like, but this is a good thing, because now I get to do my own thing. It's like, wait, you didn't have to do what the old avatars did, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be a good idea to consult them and like get their input. You don't have to do what they tell you. Aang didn't do. Roku said you should kill the Fire Lord, and Aang was
In
like...
fact, every Avatar told Aang, kill the Fire Lord.
yeah. Like, they went back like 4 or 5... Like, look at that. Like, that's the other thing. Aang wasn't just like Roku. He's like, okay, thank you, Roku. Then he went to Kyoshi. Like, got lots of
He
different
found
opinions.
an airbender. He found an airbender. Like, you'll get me. And she's like, sorry, kill him.
Yeah, right. And then but Aang chose not to do it. It's like, Korra, you didn't have to do what they tell you, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to what they have to tell you, because maybe they could help you learn a couple things.
I think one thing that I'm just disappointed in. First off, I just wanted the second season to go on. The second season to be a continuation of the first season, and I wanted Korra to like not have her bending ability. She could have airbending. That's okay.
I agree.
I thought that would have been sweet because she would have been in exile, and she would have had to explore the world. I would have had to look at the universe again.
Right.
Because we're shown this map, but we don't really experience it with Aang. We do in some sense.
You tell
We're
me
not
we don't have
shown
time to go to each of the countries? Sorry to cut you off.
I feel like Aang you see most of the map.
Yeah, but like you're not like told necessarily where things are.
Oh, yeah.
Like you don't have a understanding of like, oh, he's here. Like in Lord of the Rings, I know like he's in the Shire and he goes south and he goes to
he's
the
in
Misty
Omashu,
Mountains.
but you don't know where Omashu is relative to other stuff.
Well, I mean, who else was a little surprised? You're like, oh, he's not the king of the, or he's king of the city. Bumi's not king of the Earth Kingdom. Oh, I thought because king. Oh,
yeah, right. Yeah, they don't like say expressly state that well enough.
Yeah, they're like, oh, big city. Okay.
But I think also through that, like through her exile, she could have like then been humbled.
Yeah,
she would have learned
something.
You mean actually going on the hero's journey?
Yeah,
that would have been great.
She would have been so frustrated with herself, and it wouldn't be like just this short stint like a movie. She could have had like a long, like struggling period of trying to figure out what to do without bending. She would have been like Sokka, basically, in the original.
I'm useful.
She would have been like Aang. She'd only had airbending.
Well, yeah.
Well, but and honestly, I think the next gripe that I kind of have about this
And
series,
she could have still learned. She could have been like, I guess that's why they don't want to do it, because they want it to be too much like Aang, where she has to go relearn all of them.
well, why not? And in fact,
Well,
it's
she wouldn't have
different.
to relearn them. She would have just like couldn't have them.
In fact, wasn't that the way every other Avatar did it? Like, they show Roku going from kingdom to kingdom. She just somehow knew them all right away.
Well, because
they
the
were-
White Lotus had everybody collected, and I mean that one's not so grievous of a sin, but it's still annoying.
It's kind of bad though, because the whole thing with the Avatar was that it's not. They don't just go from kingdom to kingdom to learn the bending. They go to learn the culture and become a part of the culture. How else would they understand what to decide when they have to decide between,
Yeah.
the 4 kingdoms?
This third season is just going to be difficult to like follow up on. Because
Yeah.
I think the new one's going to be called. What's it? I think it's going to be called Change or something.
Yeah.
Because the last one was called Spirit.
Right.
And so the new one.
Well, and that actually brings me to my big gripe. I despised what they did with the spirit world, separating the worlds. I didn't even like how they
You mean
presented.
combining the worlds?
Yeah, sorry. Letting the spirits all come into Earth.
Yeah.
Or the moral realm. I didn't like that. And I didn't even like how they went about the spirit world in this one. No mystery. It's kind of just, okay.
I didn't hate the way they did the spirit world. Like, you talking about when she was walking around in it before she met
I mean, it
Lyra?
didn't piss me off. I'm
It
like,
kind of
okay.
reminded me of Spirited Away. It's like just like the creativity of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I mean, my main gripe is just like, so Korra, these spirits are very clearly more powerful than humans. Are you going to police the whole Earth?
Yeah,
I get
well,
that. I get that you're down with peace and harmony, but there's been how many years? Because all the spirits always hated humans whenever you go there, and that's like millenniums of worth
Literally,
of going
Eagle tries to kill you.
You're right.
Or owl thingy.
Yeah.
Librarian.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so the spirits very clearly hate people. I get that your goal is to one day bridge it, but it's like you're going to be dealing with a lot of human deaths before then. Or like absorptions where they would like go into them and turn them into trees and stuff.
Oh,
That
yeah.
used to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Or, I mean, not to mention, the humans, the Benders are going to fight back, and the Benders are going to fight back pretty darn overzealously.
Right.
Which is why the spirits got sent back in the first place.
Right, and and the whole point of the Avatar is like it's the two worlds living in harmony but separate. Like they balance each other, but they're what I mean, they're meant to be separate. Otherwise, you don't need an Avatar. Like right now, they don't need her. I mean,
well, and literally, I'm calling it next season, which I'm not going to watch. I'm going to come out and say it. I'm not going to waste my time.
I'll probably watch it, but I'm not like super wicked pumped.
Yeah, they're going to have the humans say, "This is our world. They need to get out." And you know what? They're right.
Right?
The spirits have their own world.
There's a perfect spirit world.
Yeah, designed for them. I mean, literally, like it's their world, free flowing energy, free flowing.
And wasn't the point that people can now walk into the spirit world?
Yeah, that's gonna end well.
Why would you want to do that? We've already seen how dangerous the spirit world
Yeah, so
is.
what happens if the next Fire Lord Ozai walks into the giant tree?
I just have no idea. Like,
are they gonna police that tree now from 24/7?
I have
Yeah,
no
White Lotus
idea
doesn't
what's
need
going
job.
to happen in the new season. Like, I just don't know. I guess I see there's a conflict, but I don't understand, like, what's she going to do?
I mean,
is there going to be bending? Because, like, that's why I watch. Like, that's why people watch the show. They
Yeah.
want to see bending,
Right.
and they want to see an interesting story. They may have an interesting story. They have the ability to pull it off, but do they have like action in it, which is
right.
the
The
premise
creative
of the show?
use of the
It's not-
betting, like you said.
Well, and
the
actually,
drama hasn't been very good.
I hate to go back to combat, but there's one other thing I forgot about bending combat. I'm kind of annoyed that I never saw the old guard come out to play and kind of show this new guard of people who apparently only fight for competition.
Right.
How it's done, because there's a big difference. You fight someone who's street fought or actual combat in the real world,
right,
versus someone who's been in a taekwondo competition. It's a night and day difference. And I'm surprised they didn't have one of Zuko's proteges, one of the veterans of the war, somebody who's 14.
Come in and just whoop.
A 14-year-old kid who had been in the war, who's now 50, still physically fit enough to do stuff, he's going to wreck these Nequalists. They're not going to, they would have been foot soldiers.
Right.
I mean, I'm surprised.
He's going to walk in and see the guys getting chi blocked and be like, so it didn't ever strike you just make a wall of fire around them and like enclose them in it?
Yeah. You know what? He's watched this Whippersnappers. He steps, twists his ankle. You know, there's a level change, and the G blocker's ankles are literally fractured. And the guy, G blocker's on the ground writhing in pain. He goes, "That's how it's done." Pardon me.
Yeah, they didn't think it through that far. So I guess that's my big gripe. It's like I get that there's change, and I don't want to be one of those comic book fans. It's like, oh, Avatar's this way, but at the same time, just make it make sense and explain things. Because the thing is, at the end of season 1, we're like, oh, they can explain why she can just suddenly I get that Aang touched her, but they can explain why she's able to do energy bend and everything, and they just never did. They
never
just kind of rolled it.
Well, and here's where the consistency thing comes back to bite this show in the butt. if an avatar could adjust a current avatar, why the hell didn't Roku tap Aang on the head and give him God mode?
Right, why didn't he unlock his spirit bending for him?
I mean, literally, like, and better yet, how come nobody's thought of going to the tree before?
Right, and you know what? That's a good point, because one of the major things with Last Airbender was that he couldn't unlock that last chakra because he couldn't let go of his earthly
Oh, if Aang
attachments.
can't let go of his attachments.
Well, that was like
Yeah, right. I was like, if Roku could have just been like, here, let me just tap you on the head. Now you don't have to get rid of Korra, and you can go Avatar mode. Or sorry, get rid of Katara, and you can
oh god,
Avatar mode. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
But think about that. If Aang, who was clearly more enlightened than Korra,
Right, couldn't reach, wasn't enlightened enough.
God.
So they just it had good points, it had good ideas, but I don't know if the old writers just weren't quite as involved or what.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know how things have changed or like what's their thought process.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
I don't know what the
it's
creative
all about the
process is.
cash. I would imagine Nickelodeon probably put its big dogs behind the production.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, I mean, the animation's outstanding. Like,
Yeah.
it looks superior
Because
to
I
Avatar.
I started watching Korra, and then I think I went back and like watched. Oh, I wanted to watch the Tales of Ba Sing Se. That's my favorite episode of.
That was a good episode.
Even though like no plot happened, like that's the one like filler episode, I guess. You
Well,
could
that's
say
a
that's
good
in
world,
there.
no,
but it's like
a
it's
good world
wonderful.
building.
That's an expander episode. That's not a filler. It
Right.
doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't fill anything.
Because it teaches
literally-
you a lot about the culture in that city. That's why it's really cool. Like, you get to see the everyday lives of these people.
when you get to see Iroh. Because if you think about it, how hard is it for Iroh to live in Ba Sing Se? Think about that for a second.
Because he could never get in.
Yeah, he can never get in.
Like, he's living where his failure basically was.
and his
like.
son died there.
Oh, that's true.
That was
So he's sitting.
and the voice actor died.
So he's sitting there and he's like,
He died while they were recording the Ba Sing Se scene.
that'd be very creepy.
Too soon. It'll always be too soon for Raku / Uncle Iroh's death.
Yep.
Oh, he did voice Haku?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Watch next time if you ever watch a Samurai Jack, you will be like, oh my goodness, it's Uncle.
Also, that's just sad that
Right.
show should have gone on farther.
Oh,
anyways,
No,
we don't need
that's
to
another
talk about
cast.
We'll get to the Samurai Jack cast. So, alright, you guys are going to have to carry most of this one. I'm not familiar, so.
Okay, so taking another animation, there's another issue typically with anime or manga, and some Western cartoons where the superpowers or the fighting styles or everything, they just get too darn big.
They get too
I
ridiculous.
think things just start to scale way too fast, and you're just like,
It's
and episode like battle scenes start like lasting 20 episodes. Like everyone whines about the Frieza in Dragon Ball Z, but then
is there worse?
That's the
than
tip of the
Naruto?
iceberg, my friends.
I just felt like, well, yeah. So going to Naruto, I watched it up to I don't even remember because I watched
I
it
think
so long ago.
they just
Who are the 9 people called again?
Akatsuki. So Akatsuki
Akatsuki.
just popped up. So
I started watching that, and I just like, I don't know, I kind of just got, whoa, 20, like, these are going on way too long, these are moving really slow, and I just stopped watching it on Toonami when it was on TV. I'm sure if I watched it online, which I've done with One Piece and other things, like, I'm able to skip those, like, flashbacks, and that's actually helped me probably get through One Piece and other things.
Right.
See, so I am caught up with the manga, and I'm going to do this with as few spoilers as possible. All I will say, if you didn't like how Bleach turned out after Aizen, don't bother. I'm going to go out on a limb and make a prediction and say you're not going to like where it goes. The ninja combat becomes not ninja-y. It becomes explodey. It becomes monster fighty. It becomes whole continent get wiped outy. and it's just not... I mean, it changed fundamentally what I liked about the show, and that was, there were a few characters that could really, super big exploding ball.
Well, it kills the suspense, I'm imagining, because it's just like with Star Wars, where in the first couple movies, I mean, granted, the choreography was pretty bad, but the fight scenes were much shorter, and you had a sense of like, oh my gosh, Luke could get cut down at any second right now by Darth Vader. And then, once you get to the third prequel, that fight scene went on for like 30 minutes, you knew, like, you're like, okay, nobody's getting hurt until the plot needs them to.
Yeah.
Whereas I imagine something that's like with Naruto, you're like, oh, this fight's only been going 5 episodes. Clearly nobody's going to lose for the next 5 or so,
Well, like, I have no idea how long this is going to go. I don't know if my attention span is going to keep me, like, is this really interesting? Like, because I don't have a sense of suspense anymore.
Right.
Well, because honestly, they keep adding extra fluff in the end game, big picture, towards the end where we're at right now in the manga, I'm literally to the point where this last scan this week was so bad in that regard. I'm giving them one more chance. If they don't give me something decent next
so you
week,
think they're
I'm
just
done.
dragging it out because they make so much money? Basically,
They are, and it's gotten to the point where it literally is lost sight of what this show was in the first place, or what this series was.
Right.
I'm done, actually. I'm calling it right now. They're not gonna have anything good for me. They've just gone. I can't say anything more without spoiling it big time, but it's just gone a direction I can't follow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily a TV type thing where you know, a continuing serial that kind of falls under that problem. Clearly not, actually, because I mean, we're talking about movies with Star Wars.
Well, let me put it this way: the final battle for Naruto started when I was a freshman in college in the manga.
Really?
Yes.
It's still going?
It's still going.
Right. You're like, you know how the whole joke with Game of Thrones is like, will the author live? It's like, will I even live to see the end of this? Yeah, I just think things, that's why we were talking about it. You need set episodes like with Avatar The Last Airbender, or 60 episodes, that's what it was. It's going to be 20 episode seasons, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like one of the nice things with One Piece is that, well, first off, one thing I didn't like about Naruto, I thought there just wasn't that many moves that Naruto had. He had his spinny ball and his shadow clone thing.
Ironically, you jumped off right before the series actually picked up.
Right.
So, but
And Michael's been
yeah.
telling me about that. But I thought One Piece has done well with battle scenes where they're like different sets of the battle.
But
They have an updated toolkit every time they fight a new foe.
right.
Yeah,
But
and it's not.
it's not like ridiculous.
Yeah, and it seems to work. Like it doesn't. I'm engaged because it's dynamic. It's not like I'm in a forest. I'm fighting this one bad guy one-on-one. No one else is here to even like talk.
Right.
Like it's just us two fighting.
Right.
Like whereas One Piece, he has his crew. They're fighting different people. They defeat those people. They join up together. They fight this other person. Oh, they switch people. Okay, that's interesting. Why did they do that? They do it for legitimate
They
reasons.
have reason behind it, right.
I mean, legitimately, sometimes Luffy gets stuck in a snake or in a hole and can't get out, and then fights the bad guy at the end. But like, usually I've forgotten where Luffy is.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, Luffy. That's fine. Okay, he can fight this guy. I've been entertained by the other battles, and now this big battle's happening, and it's like, I don't know, maybe 10 episodes or 7 episodes or something.
Well,
That's
they
okay.
jump around. They actually give you a... I mean, and that's the thing. The difference between how One Piece handled the massive expansion in scale and Naruto is Naruto kept just increasing the current powers and kept increasing the current stuff till it got God mode. One Piece literally took an entirely new dimension and opened it up. And anybody who's a fan will know what I'm talking about when I say haki. It's a whole other thing. Mm-hmm. And it explains lots of stuff that have been questioned the whole time.
So is it not the end all be all? It's just really good unless you can counter. It can be countered in some way.
It is kind of the end all be all, but it's not unbeatable. And they've demonstrated this. You can still be cut down using it. But it's how these people with no quote unquote powers are able to fight people who can turn into lava. So, because that's a question. You're like, okay, cool, there's this big baddie who can turn into lava. How the hell is a guy made out of rubber going to do anything about that?
Right.
Answer, hockey.
Yucky.
So, and that I guess that's a good contrast. And then obviously anything I just said about One Piece, or anything I just said about Naruto, you can say about Bleach times 2. And Bleach got way worse. I don't even need to go into it.
Right. And then the original, The Godfather, Dragon Ball Z. Where, I mean, it was just like, does it really matter how they got this strong? I mean, maybe he just got really pissed off. And
Over
you
9,000
just don't
strings!
Yeah, right.
Dragon Ball Z is just fun. You just don't really care.
Yeah, it's not
It's
really...
like, it doesn't really have a universe. But
Heavy dose of nostalgia, friend.
It's
When
just
he was watching it.
Yeah, it's just
Right.
fun. You just
Right.
watch it because it's fun.
Right, exactly, and it's like what you grew up on, back
You
when
skip-
you didn't know what anime was. I mean, we didn't.
Yeah.
At least I didn't. Dragon Ball Z is
Yeah.
the first type of anime I ever
Yeah, I didn't even
saw.
know it was called anime.
Unless you count Pokemon as anime.
Yeah.
We're not going to go there.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
we won't go there. So then the last thing we're going to talk about with some world building is, and we promise this will not be the section called harping on young adult. But I mean, but some of them fall under it, and that's things where they build a good story, and it almost seems like it's a whole universe, but it's really not. And so, we're going to try to justify why we think it doesn't reach that level that One Piece or Lord of the Rings or even Avatar do. And so the first one we're talking about is Harry Potter.
Parry Hotter.
Parry Hotter. And there's actually kind of a lot of good reasons once I started thinking about it, because I do enjoy Harry Potter. I mean, it's definitely diminished since I was 12 years old. But I still do enjoy the story, and I do agree. It
enjoys
though,
its share of nostalgia power.
Right.
It does.
I agree, but I agree with you guys that it's not a full universe per se.
And it doesn't try to be. I kind of like hoped it would be. Like
Right.
I thought about it later. It's like, what if like I knew that the whole world had magic powers, and like like she tells you that, but you don't really like see that in the story.
Right.
So it's like one thing of like, you can talk about all you want, but if I don't see nothing, picture it didn't happen kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, she never explains how far does Voldemort's reach go. I mean, is it just in England? I mean,
right.
And what are, like, there's the school, you see in the 4th Harry Potter book, you see a school from wherever it was, where
I want to see Wizarding Ninjas. I
Bulgaria.
want to see voodoo people from the Caribbean.
Right. Like, where, like, there's gotta be other, like, variants of magic. You know what I mean? And she just never really goes in that, makes them useful, and I just can't believe that the England wizards are the only ones that care about Voldemort. I mean, I don't know what his overall plans are, but you can't tell me that the wizards in France aren't next once he finishes consolidating Britain.
And that's not her purpose, is to go into those things, because Harry Potter, like, name of the story, name of your character.
I mean, the first book is called The Sorcerer's Scone, for gosh sakes. It's definitely British.
So, like, she's not going into those places. I just thought it
In
would
the chamber pot of secrets.
Like, she just... It just would have been... I think
Is that corn?
Like, it would have been really cool if she did, you know?
Mikey likes it.
I'm just thinking we're going to get stabbed in our sleep by Harry Potter fans.
No, don't worry. They're going to try to use the kill spell on us. Throwing us out the window. I mean, he's an infant baby. Why did you have to use a kill spell? I mean, you're pure evil.
Okay,
it's like stabbing him.
we're not going there. I'm drawing the line right there.
Imagine if he just put a pillow over Harry's face.
Part of the universe discussion is not feasibility of killing
I
babies.
guess she used defensive magic. Maybe does defensive magic block you from physical dangers? I don't know. Whatever.
You just opened up a dark portal.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't even know. That's what I'm talking about.
Steven, keep going.
But here's what I'm talking about. When it comes to that, I don't know if... I certainly know JK... Like, I think of random stuff with Harry Potter, and then I think to myself, you know what? I don't know if she thought of that. Whereas, like, Lord of the Rings, you think about stuff...
Oh, you know, Tolkien had
He thought of it.
Yeah.
And there's probably a place where you find it.
She also doesn't really build, like, a full magic system. Her magic's pretty, like... You find your wand... You like have the ability to do it, and therefore you do it.
Right.
But apparently,
I know
wands can be
Jonathan.
traded.
I think it's Jonathan Strange. I haven't read this, but a lot of my friends back in Illinois have, and they like love how like in depth it is in different ways that
What
it
is
works.
Jonathan Strange?
It's
its own book series?
Yeah, it's its own book series.
Okay.
But there's also like Full Metal Alchemist has
Rules.
like more. Yeah, it has more rules, and so hers doesn't have that, and so you don't really have like a universe which like you're building a foundation.
But even Aragon actually is a wonderful. Granted, he definitely loses it towards the end, but very finite, systematic. It's a science.
Well, it's kind of wonky. Is it your wand that makes you powerful? Is it your spiritual connection to magic, if you can call it
Dumbledore
that?
can snap
that
his
makes
fingers and bring water to a cup, so...
Yeah, and then there's like the whole Elder Wand thing where it was supposed to be the most powerful wand. So, I mean, it's kind of wonky.
It
not
really
clearly
had the
defined.
ability to be a universe, because I could see it being pretty vibrant in a lot of ways.
Right.
But because she's always at school, or because Harry Potter's always at school.
Right.
Oh, come on.
Except for the last
The
book.
secret magical history of the American Revolution? Come on. That would have been dope. That would have been really, really cool.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like, you could have the defense that, yeah, it started out for kids, but it's like, come on, by the time the 7th Harry Potter's hitting and half the main characters are dying.
The death, psychological trauma, torture in the 7th book?
Yeah,
No,
if you think kids can handle murder and torture, they can handle more information, which would be all it is. For like a bigger
That's
universe.
such an American thing for her to think.
Yeah, so... I mean, it's not a knock. It doesn't, like, necessarily diminish it in terms of, like, oh, it's not, like, it's a worse story because it's not a universe. It's just a difference in storytelling.
Squandered possibility,
Right.
I feel like.
Right. I mean, for guys like us that like that kind of thing, that like the information...
Like, I think I would... There would be a lot more fans, or at least diehard fans of Harry Potter, if it was a universe.
Well, there'd be a lot more diehard fans that aren't, like, 30-year-old single chicks.
Or, well, but honestly, and you
Or,
get...
like, older single chicks that were, like, growing up with it. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause-
Okay,
You have your other stories that you're
there are
talking about.
there are at least 6 different people who are going to hate me for saying this, but it is a hipster's gate into nerddom.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, yeah, I'll give it that. It did open up a, like, now people will go watch a Marvel movie, I feel like, more
Yeah.
Because they already dealt with kind of the ridiculousness that is Harry Potter.
So
Well, and that's where-
I'm a hypocrite. I'm going to enjoy the benefits, but at the same time, it's
yeah,
like,
right.
I get someone who dresses up as a Gryffindor person going to Comic-Con, and I 90% of the time guess you're not really a nerd. You're not really one of us. But that's stereotyping and rather bigoted of me. So.
Yeah, bigotry. A couple other ones that kind of fall under it, Hunger Games, and then I can't really speak on Divergent because I haven't seen the movie and
I
read the
haven't
books.
either. I just know that there's a lot of similarities between Hunger Games and Divergent.
Right.
They also had like the potential. They're actually like they're much closer to a universe than I think
They're
Harry
too
Potter
short.
is.
Yeah.
Is what I've kind of figured out about.
Yeah,
it.
Hunger
Oh, yeah.
Games had a lot of potential.
It like has these different areas, but I don't really know how the United States is split up. I don't really understand fully how.
I mean, is there not other countries? Are we the only country that survived? Because, like, they're so worried keeping control in our country, I gotta think we'd be pretty vulnerable to attack from whatever other country.
And that's why it's not a universe.
Right. Yeah, you never
But
find out about that.
it's kind
It's
of
Red China.
American universe.
Red China's coming to get us.
I mean, I guess one of those things, like, I read all 3 Hunger Games books quicker than I read 1 Game of Thrones.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I guess in terms of just raw material, there's not as much there.
It didn't either to be. It was a quick diatribe, first and foremost on the war in Iraq.
Right.
Second on PTSD. And third on...
Sort of like the value of human life.
well,
I guess.
recovery from PTSD.
Yeah.
Like it literally is... Actually, I mean, it's all kind of...
I mean,
a big-
there's more there. Like
yeah.
she talked like Hunger Games is the prequel up to that, like the build up to the game itself is a lot like talking about reality TV. Like
Right.
Oh, yeah.
that's
There's
a lot of what it's
multiple-
about.
That's
Also
true, yeah,
about-
capitalist America. It has
Well,
lots of
and I don't
similar-
necessarily buy that she thinks that she came up with this before Battle Royale popped out of Japan. It's a little too similar, but yeah.
I don't know. I've heard that. I've heard some people go, it's just like Battle Royale, and I've heard other people say it's nothing like Battle Royale.
It's not just like, but the
'Cause-
concept is a little too close.
One of the things I thought was really cool about Hunger Games was I liked the survivability aspect of where she was like foraging and stuff. Like I thought she went into pretty like good detail on that. And then I mean she does a good job on like the political side of it, I guess, and kind of the power struggle, even though it gets a little bit cheesy. The third book, the ending of the third book, I thought was actually kind of bad. I know a lot of people probably agree with that. We won't go into it since the movie's not out yet, but that doesn't necessarily detract from being a universe. But it's like she goes in such vibrant detail on the Hunger Games and on the capital city that you're kind of like, I would like to see District 2 or District 3. And she describes it like District 2 does this. So they're, whatever, they provide this resource. And she goes into it a little bit, but there was just a lot of potential there for.
And I think because these are all lumped into young adult, like that's part of just the genre itself.
Right.
Is it's trying to give you a story. It's not trying to give you a universe, and there's not much like. I don't want to say vision, but that's the only word I can think of beyond like what that
the scope is limited.
What that story and what like influences that story
Right.
by itself, and you
Right.
don't need extra kind of doodads all around it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard balance because I don't want to knock her because one thing I was just saying is I like a set time frame for a story, but I feel like she could have had more. I mean, her story's pretty brief overall. I mean, it's a good solid read, but you know, now that I just read Game of Thrones, it's just like
Yeah,
nothing.
comparing that.
And then again, you're talking about a guy who's probably second only to Oda in terms of, oh my god, how many pages is this?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I read Game of Thrones. It was 800 some odd pages, and I was like, man, you can't get a longer book than this. And I just got the second one, and it's easily 150 pages longer. So I hope each one doesn't scale up that much more than the last.
I'm not going to say a word.
It's crazy because I think if the font too is crazy small in my printing that I have of it, I feel like Harry Potter would be like 200 pages. Even like the last one, it would be like maybe 300 to 400 in that font.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah. So I mean, and I guess I'm trying to think. There was one other thing that popped into my head.
Is there any others? I mean, it's not necessarily want to knock it, but it's just kind of separating stories that people hold up on that pedestal. It's like you can't really put it quite up to that level because there's not as much to it. There's just not.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a nerd like us that loves every detail and loves getting engrossed in something. There's not as much there for Hunger Games. Like, I haven't felt the need to go back since I finished the third book. I'm just like, I kind of know what there is there.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Game of Thrones, I know what's happening. Well, I guess the books differ, so that's kind of cheating. But even parts that are pretty much identical to the show, I really have enjoyed reading, and kind of you get a little extra tidbits like through things like that. There's a lot more there.
Yeah.
Even though the show is already insanely detailed, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
like honestly, Hunger Games, because I read the second book, I read all the books after I'd seen the movies, except obviously the third one's not out. But I mean, it played almost identical in my opinion. There wasn't a whole lot that I was like, oh, that's good to know that I didn't know from the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
There's not these behind the scenes like information that you've forgotten.
Yeah.
Like you watch Lord of the Rings and you see the ring shrink and it's like, did I read that? I don't remember if that's what actually happened. And you go back and you read it, it's like, oh yeah, that's there. The ring shrinks. That's interesting.
Right.
Because you've read a lot and a lot of information and a lot of pages. And so you forget certain things and it's nice to be reminded of those things.
Right. Like exactly, it just goes back to how much content is there.
Yep. Well, and ironically, we didn't really cover any video games, but I'm sure there's a couple that apply.
Oh, there's definitely video games that apply here.
Yeah. Let's say I defer to you on Final Fantasy stuff. I think we could probably just do a whole other deal on that.
Yeah, right.
I'll do a quick little.
Well, I mean, I was playing the Final Fantasy X remix, and I feel like you could probably tell from what I already described to you that there's a lot to that. There's a lot there. And that game is one of those games where it is a world journey. You literally start in the southernmost tip of the world and have to go to the northernmost tip. And I wouldn't say it's as fleshed out as some of these, but for one video game that doesn't have there's 10-2. There's 10-2. That doesn't count, okay? For the video game that is just one video game, not a series, because none of the Final Fantasies are supposed to tie into another. It's really detailed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and so I guess I'm sure you folks are getting tired of me bringing up this genre, this series, but for the Fallout series, one universe building problem that I had with the newest incarnation was that it didn't really get me into the post-apocalyptic vibe. It was more of a frontier vibe, which is fine. You can have both, but it really sacrificed one for the other.
Oh, I get what you mean by that now. So you felt like you were it felt like it was undiscovered territory, not abandoned or
exactly
eradicated territory.
And honestly, it had a lot more potential for a big scope. I mean, and there's been some rebuilding, but there's Kaisar's Legions, there's the NCR, there's New Vegas, and there's a couple of other little groups. And it really could have been awesome. Part of it was development problems, which we've already hashed out. But with Fallout 3, you're walking through a real bona fide rubble post-apocalyptic universe,
right?
Where you're crawling through ruins and you're wondering if you're going to poke your head over and see a super mutant go Rrr!
Right.
So the tension's there, the experience is better, you can get into it more. It was harder for New Vegas. It took me a little while to get used to that. So,
one thing there's one last thing I do want to harp on is I feel like it's a universe when they explain what's happening outside of the main people. So for instance, it's what was your joke about Harry Potter?
Oh, I was joking that my friends don't like Harry Potter. I hate it when I do this. So Harry Potter goes to school. Hey, I'm Voldemort. I'm going to attack in the spring.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Harry Potter. I'm going to school. Hi, I'm Lord Voldemort. I'm going to attack in the spring. Hey, everybody. I'm Harry Potter. Oh, no Lord Voldemort this time? Okay. Hi, I'm Harry Potter. Hi, I'm Lord Voldemort. I'm going to attack in the spring.
You're right. And it's and then you're like, why does Voldemort attack in the spring? Oh, the third book, he didn't attack at all. It's just one of those things where I don't like when you don't get a sense of what's been happening outside of the one character. Like Harry, it's great. It's so detailed. What was Voldemort doing? They don't ever tell you why did it take a full year for him to launch another attack. He you know what I mean?
Just one attack. He's not doing different things.
Really, he was hedging all his bets on somebody finding a diary. I guess that was kind of its own recovery thing because I don't think he controls the diary. That was the Horcrux. Oh yeah.
But it's just suddenly Voldemort's back for 8 months and he has an actual army.
Yeah.
If they were willing to turn coat that quick, you're telling me the moment they heard that the Dark Lord was alive again that they wouldn't snap to?
Yeah, right.
And I'm sorry, no amount of Deus Ex Machina or Dumbledore is going to save Harry Potter from hundreds of Death Eaters all hitting Hogwarts at once unannounced. We got a dead Potter.
Right.
But
and it's just one of those things. I appreciate shows with Game of Thrones. I like the way he breaks it up to where each chapter it just gives you the character, and you get a sense of okay, this person is doing this right now that they need to do. They're not important necessarily right now, but he shows you what they're doing. So that way later, when they're important again, you're like, okay, I believe it. He was going around rounding up the Bannermen, whatever it was. And so, and like, you guys may sound like One Piece does a great job of that too. Where it's like, okay, these guys are fighting here, but that's not the only thing that matters right now. There's 10 other people doing stuff that is going to be important later. So, well, because it takes that extra level, I feel like, of effort from the author or creator to be like, you know what I mean? Just thinking it through like that.
Well, and then honestly, it seems that's what it actually comes down to. How far down the rabbit hole are you willing to go?
Right.
Are you willing to put the details in the time? And I feel like for some authors, they seem to be able to just pull stuff out of their hat and, you know, perfect.
Right.
Others clearly didn't have that ability and probably should have worked their muscles a little more. But
right.
then again, I'm not the one sitting down to write it, so...
Right. And yeah, and it's also, I mean, it's what you're into. Some people are like, I have a life. I don't have time to read 12 books of whatever. So, you know, it is what it is. Everyone has different things. I think that's why The Hunger Games is a good mainstream appeal, because it's a really strong story, and it's consumable. Like, you could read it while you're working full-time and whatever else you have to do.
Not going to take that much brain power.
You're right. So, and not a knock on that, but anyways. So that about covers it. I think I found this more interesting as it went, to be honest. I thought this was a good discussion.
Yep.
Sir Stephen. I say it because he hates it, and I'm nice. I'm a nice guy like that. Steven, thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing a great topic. We'll have you back on as soon as you think of another great topic.
For sure.
Should have thought of a worse one, because now we're holding you to the same standard.
Oh, yeah. Bars high.
Sucker. So Mike, chant us off here.
Like, comment, subscribe, comment, as I said earlier.
And subscribe.
Yep. Subscribe!
You can do both.
It's comment/subscribe, okay? Not one, not the other. Yeah. Just kidding. Do anything, please. Anything.
And get us some ideas.
Yeah.
Tell us that we're wrong.
Yeah, let us know anything we missed, anything we forgot, anything you want to hear us talk about.
We only have one rule. Just don't try to defend the prequels.
Yeah, one rule. You had one rule. No. Anyways, yeah. So take it easy, guys.
Later.